Last year you did GameTech, this year you have NewTech. Is there anything on the table for next year?
Good question. Too early to say. To be perfectly honest, we did GameTech, we organised GameTech 6 weeks before GameTech. We organised NewTech 6 weeks before NewTech, and prior to that we hadn't made any decision about doing something. So we might do the same next year, get to November after the open day and think we could do something on this, but we'll just have to wait and see. Nothing's planned in, doesn't mean we won't.
What is your personal favourite thing that Target sells and why?
My personal favourite thing that we sell and why? That's a really good question. I think with some of this stuff today, let's keep it relevant to today, lots of stuff today that's pretty interesting. We're very excited about being Ubiquity Disties, which we just announced. Lots of the stuff that's coming in from the Far East, so we've got the wireless charging range, which you'll see in the main room, dash cams, our own dash cams are coming in. So, lots of stuff really. I don't have a personal favourite. I like the new stuff, I like the new and exciting stuff.
Like to keep on top of things. If you could narrow it down to what makes Target a success, what would that be?
That's a good question. I think we're different. I think we're a little bit different. I think we start off with a different ethos, if you like. We've always had the view that we're only successful if our customers are successful. So that breeds a lot of the things we've done in the past, such as, you can go right back to 2002, we were doing customisable flyers. 2003-04, we did the customisable product brochure. We were the first to do the customisable website with TC Freenet, and then another one we Ready Built Web Shop. We did things like Tech Skillshare, obviously done things like Shop Talk. All of this sort of stuff is us thinking, how can we help our customers to be more successful? And that starts from a base of the more successful our customers are, the more successful we can be. So I'm not sure if it makes us successful. I think it probably makes us a little bit different, that we start from that point. We don't start from some other point and then have a bit of spin or a bit of fluff or a bit of let's pretend this. That's fundamentally where we start from. So probably that.
There's some quite interesting things on display today. Which one has caught your eye so far?
Well, you'll see when you go in, all of them. They are all brilliant. One I haven't mentioned yet, though, and something a little bit different today we haven't really announced. Not a product, but you'll get the first opportunity to see the new website today. So that's something we haven't told people about. And you've also got the opportunity to sign up as a beta tester for the new website today. So you'll see when you go in the room. Lots of exciting stuff, lots of new brands, lots of interesting products. I'm not going to pick one out. You can tell me at the end of the day.
Other than events such as Open Day and this kind of event, how does Target help the independents?
How do we help independents? It goes back to the ethos. If you start with the view that we want you to be successful, that filters through in everything that you do. So you'll know you've been a customer for a long time. It's not what people say they're going to do, and it's not what people do when things are going well. It's how people deal with things when you hit problems. So it starts from the tiniest little things right the way through. We have a customer with a problem, we expect that customer to tell us, and we'll do everything we can to help them. But just on the day-to-day stuff, getting orders there on time, making sure that things, we've got 99.94%, I think, order accuracy for 2018. And it's gone up 0.01% each year for the last 5 years, I think. So it's getting it right first time every time. And then the measure of any business, I think, is when it doesn't go right, how do you sort that out? And it's having that flexibility, that understanding, being able to put yourself in the customer's position and think, what's the impact of what's gone wrong? And how do we fix that, rather than here's the terms and conditions and I'm sorry but you haven't done this and you haven't done that. So it's the whole gamut of things. It starts off with the culture, the mindset and the desire to work collaboratively. But you'll know as a customer, it should be, I would hope, it's everything, and it's everything regardless of who you deal with, regardless of the issue, regardless of the help that you want. Our aim is that we're there to help you.
If you had one piece of advice for an independent, what would it be?
One piece of advice? How would you boil it down into one piece of advice? That's really, really difficult because we could probably stand here for 3 hours talking about just some of the key bits of advice that are really, really, really important. If I had to boil it down to one, and you've really put me on the spot, it would be to understand what your value is, to understand what you have. Any business needs to, you need to have an attractive proposition, you need to have a customer base or potential customer base that appeals to, and then you need to tell people. The rest of it's being able to do what you say you can do. So, let's go back to the attractive proposition. The attractive proposition for independent retailers is trustworthiness, expertise, maybe the locality, reputation. It's not trading online trying to beat Amazon. So it's understanding what your value is, and the value more often than not will be you. So people will come into Chips because they like Phil and Jenny and they trust your advice and they trust your expertise and so on and so forth. It's understanding that and not hiding that light under the bushel and not trying to pretend to be something that you're not. Market that expertise, market that friendliness, market that trustworthiness. Things like websites, don't put loads of products on a website, put yourself, your shop. Be proud of the fact that you are where you are, doing what you are, and you have the expertise and the impartiality and the trustworthiness to help your customers get the right solution for them. So, if I had to boil it down, we could spend all night talking about this, but if I had to boil it down to one thing, it's understand your value, what you do better than the high street, what you do better than the internet, and don't be ashamed of pushing that.
Now, the dreaded question.
They're all dreaded.
Yeah, this one, this is not mine. How do you think Brexit will affect the computer industry in the short term and in the long term, and if it ends in no deal?
No deal will be... I'm trying to take the sort of rhetoric out of this a little bit, but no deal will be short-term pretty catastrophic, but short-term pretty catastrophic not because of any of the specifics impacting our industry, not really because of any of the specifics about the trade, but because of the impact it will have on domestic demand. So this is the biggest problem with Brexit, that it's just thrown everything up in the air. Nobody has any certainty. I suspect we're veering more towards a watered down EU deal or possibly another referendum, probably more than a no deal Brexit, which certainly short term would be better because that will provide more stability, but then you're creating a lot of anger with people who wanted to leave in the first place. So the biggest problem is we have no plan for what a no-deal Brexit actually looks like, and short term at least it causes a hell of a lot of problem. We'll see a dip in demand, so it will be tough for everybody if we have a no-deal Brexit. Short term, certainly.
Yeah. How do you think vendors could help independent traders other than POS, like free pins and sticky notes?
That's a really good question. If we took the ultimate sort of best case scenario, and it's not easy to do, and I can understand why a lot of vendors don't do it. It's not easy to administer, and it causes a lot of problems. Sale or return on product or consignment stock would be brilliant, particularly on the more expensive things. Like I say, it creates a world of problems, so I can understand the vendors not being keen to do it. And it also doesn't particularly encourage anybody to put effort into it. But that's probably the thing as an indie that you would want the most. If you can have a load of attractive stock that you haven't had to pay for and not take any risk with, that would be wonderful. But we're mostly going into a happy, fluffy, ideal world with that scenario. I think doing what, say, people like Thermaltech who are here today, Cooler Master, Gigabyte, vendors like that, who are very active in the channel, who will get out and about and visit indies. And I think that does two things. One, they understand indies better because they communicate with indies on a regular basis. Two, they're out there to listen to what you're saying and tailor what they do to help you better. So I think more vendors with presence in the UK, out and about, visiting indies and understanding it, and not just seeing it from a volume point of view with Amazon or with some of the big high street retailers, but understanding that the breadth of customer, what the indies need from a vendor.
Absolutely.
But there are some good ones doing that.
The last one. What do you think of manufacturers using different brands for gaming peripherals and components? Do you think it could be confusing for the consumer and they may not understand who makes it and could potentially lose a sale?
Possibly. I mean, that's a decision for individual brands to make of how they segregate the product range and how they brand the product range. I suspect that these things are done at a strategic level because they intend to invest in the gaming brand specifically as a gaming brand. They don't want any crossover or dilution from another brand. But unless they actually invest in the gaming brand, nobody's going to recognise it. So this is a challenge. If you think the profits in IT now are not the profits in IT say 20 years ago, vendors 20 years ago could probably spend more money, invest much more heavily in brand building. There's probably less of that these days. So yeah, if an established brand springs up a gaming brand, no problem with that whatsoever, but it would be great if they invested something in marketing that gaming brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand where the question's coming from. Bit of a mixed bag. Depends. They can do it. It depends entirely how well they do it and how committed they are to the new brand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very
everything?
much.